Every now and then I find a 1940s era movie that to me is just very moving, very sincere. And My Foolish Heart from 1949 was one of those. It's a straight romantic drama built around one relationship and the things that follow from it. It's about love, regret, and how there can be an event that changes everything. So I want to take a look at that film today, and I'm going to do things a little different. Now, my three fans know that on my channel, I usually give like a spoiler-free overview of the film and then talk about it. But because I think giving away too much of this story could actually do the movie a disservice, this time I'm going to keep the summary very brief, spoiler-free, and then I'll talk about why I enjoyed this film. My Foolish Heart was a romantic drama about a woman who was looking back on a relationship that shaped her life. And like a good noir, the story moves between the present and the past through a flashback and carefully unravels the story. The central character here is Eloise Winters, played by Susan Hayward. She's young and emotional, a little restless, and at a party, she meets the character Walt, played by Dana Andrews. Now, he's a little bit older, quieter, maybe a little more reserved than she is. So they meet and later go out on a date. And for him, he's just kind of initially looking for a good time. But Eloise wants something more. So, kind of realizing what his interests are, she's ready to move on. But Walt continues to pursue her, and both eventually fall in love. There's a window of time when she doesn't hear from him, but soon she meets up with him again at a train station and discovers that he was drafted. Yes, this is a drama that takes place during the Second World War era. And the two of them and their relationship continues to grow. But you know what? I'm not going to say much more about the story. Yeah, Rob, I know you didn't give us much, just a little teaser about what it's about. Yes, it's a very brief review. But this relationship and where it goes is the core of this film. And I just feel like I won't be doing justice in trying to summarize it. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to move into summary mode and talk about what I liked about this film. My Foolish Heart was released in 1949. It was produced by Samuel Goldwyn and was directed by Mark Robson. The film was nominated for Academy Awards for Best Actress in a Leading Role for Susan Hayward and for Best Music, the song by Victor Young. It was written by Julius J. and Philip G. Eckstine. Now, I enjoyed this film a lot, although it really is a heartbreaking story. Be forewarned going into this one. I saved you a lot of the details in the summary, so you'll have to see for yourself if you haven't already. My Foolish Heart was beautifully filmed by Mark Robson with cinematography by Lee Garms. And this is one of those films that visually I found I was really enjoying, and I would frequently pause and grab some screen captures because of how good the presentation was. In fact, for this review and to avoid the YouTube copyright bot meanies, I'm probably going to use a bunch of those screenshots as well to avoid a copyright claim. But in any case, I thought the visuals were wonderful for this film. And, even at time there were these little beautiful hints of noir, like when Walt is in camp and he's smoking and thinking about Eloise. And while the visuals are so good, honestly, the highlight of the film, to me, hands down, was the performance by Susan Hayward. She's just mesmerizing in this film, the way that she can relate through her acting so much emotion, so convincingly. Scenes where she's just looking at Walt and just has this glowing expression of love. And you can just see it transmitted so clearly through her eyes, through her expression. And when her character is hurt, you see it and you feel it. It's so genuine here. I think this is the first film on my channel I've seen with Susan Hayward, and I just loved her performance here, and I hope to see more of her films in the future. Dana Andrews as well was excellent as a character Walt. I caught him not long ago in the crime masterpiece Laura, so I enjoyed seeing him again. Here he plays a character who's maybe a little more subdued with a seriousness to him you really see, especially as the war gets started in the movie. He doesn't seem like he's trying to steal the scenes or anything, but keeps things pretty calm for the most part and held in. And that's balanced well, I thought, with Susan Hayward's more emotional openness in her performance. I really love their romance here, and they just completely drew me into that. Now, there was another part of the film that I really enjoyed was Hayward's interaction with her parents in the film, namely her father, who was played by Robert Keith. Now, I caught him not long ago in the film The Lineup from '58. You watch his character in the film, and he seems initially more interested in the dad-type things like taking photos of skyscrapers in the city. But as we get to meet his character, we see what a warm and understanding father he actually is, and that he has a human side, such as when he opens up about, a loveless marriage following his service in the war. He's not a villain here or a cartoon strict father or anything like that, but more just a voice of understanding. And as a dad, I do appreciate when dads in movies are depicted well, because unfortunately you don't see a lot of that anymore. And maybe that's why I'm such a fan of Hugh Beaumont, I guess. Watching the film, I love this brief scene as her dad has basically just helped out Eloise with some money, unexpectedly, so that she can stay in the city to be closer to Walt. It's a brief but very beautiful scene of a father saying goodbye. And a final note, and I'll wrap this one up, but one of the main reasons that I had this on my list to watch is because of my fondness for that old classic title song, My Foolish Heart, which I've heard many versions of prior to seeing this film. And I even put a bunch down in the description below so you can sample some different versions. My Foolish Heart was composed by Victor Young and the lyrics written by Ned Washington. And I love the melody and the lyrics. Is it a little sentimental and syrupy? Absolutely. And that's why I love it. Great stuff. And of course, hearing the lush orchestral version of this song during the opening credits, that's just phenomenal. Well, to close the review, My Foolish Heart from 1949 was a beautiful but tragic love story, wonderfully performed by Susan Hayward and Dana Andrews. At its core, it's about memories and how we live with decisions we've made and the things we can't control. I thought the production was gorgeous. The visuals, I love them, as well as the music. And I think this is a film that's definitely worth checking out.